and a warm welcome to GBS News at 9 today, Tuesday, the 28th of February 2023. You're joining us live from Good News Television, Nairobi. My name is Vitus Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenke. Let us dive into stories making headlines. Barely 7 days into office, majority of Kenyans believe the country is headed in the wrong direction. This is based on a survey conducted by Infotrack between 21st and the 24th of this month, February, which revealed that 62% of Kenyans hold this view. According to Kenyans, the views were due to the current high cost of living, high taxes imposed on people, and the high rate of unemployment, among other reasons. The poll, which was revealed today, was meant to evaluate the first 100 days after President William Ruto's cabinet was sworn into office, which ended on the 4th of February 2023. Here are the details.
Poll findings released by Infotrack on Tuesday revealed 62% of Kenyans believe that the country is headed in the wrong direction, and the survey, which involved 2,149 respondents, showed that only 22% believe the country is headed in the right direction, while only 15% said they weren't sure whether the country is headed in the right direction or not. Only 2% refused to answer.
We interviewed a total number of 2,149, and as mentioned, this survey was carried between the 21st of February to 24th of February, that's last week, and we did it through the computer-assisted telephonic interview. It was distributed based on the population of the adult Kenyans. When we talk of the adult Kenyans, that is those that are 18 years and above, with distribution happening across the 47 counties. Based on our research findings, 62% opined that the country is headed in the wrong direction, with 22% saying the country is headed in the right direction, with a 15% on the middle scale, neither right nor wrong direction. And how does this pan across the regions? All the regions, save for Northern Eastern, that had a score of 48%, the rest of the regions had a score above 50% when it comes to wrong direction.
Kenyans cited different reasons for their negative view on the direction of the country, citing different reasons, whereby amongst them, 73% cited the high cost of living, 5% high taxes imposed on people, another 5% cited the high levels of unemployment, 4% on poor governance, 3% on bad politics, amongst other reasons.
Mtasimama imara.
The survey comes days after Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga issued 5 demands to Ruto, among them lowering the cost of living in the country.
Mama hai.
The poll also ranked the top performing cabinet secretaries, where Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki was ranked as the top performing member of President William Ruto's cabinet during the Kenya Kwanza's first 100 days in office, with 27%, followed by Education CS Ezekiel Machogu with 12%, while Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba at 8%. Susan Wafula and Linturi closing the top 5 with a tie of 5%. The poll cited the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy as the best performing so far, with a 54% rating, and the National Treasury and Economic Planning as the least performing. The survey ranked the performance of Ruto's cabinet as below average in the first 100 days. Only the ministries of ICT and roads scored above average, registering 54% and 50% respectively in the study. The overall score of all the 22 ministries was placed at D plane. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Gender balance in the country's leadership was one of the things the 2010 Constitution envisioned. However, this important provision remained unimplemented 13 years later, and there have been over 9 different attempts to amend the Constitution to enforce 2/3 gender representation in Parliament. National Gender Equality Commission Chairperson Dr. Joyce Mutinda said that the Commission has been following closely the journey of 2/3. Speaking during a media engagement forum to discuss the implementation of the rule on Tuesday, she said there is hope in the 13th Parliament to fulfill this cause. Let's take a look.
Activities this morning, really for this country, for inclusion, is a major one.
13 years since the promulgation of the new constitution dispensation, Kenyan Parliament is yet to pass and implement the elusive two-thirds gender rule. On Tuesday, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee Chairman Honorable George Murugara led a parliamentary legislative dialogue on the two-thirds gender rule, where a bill has eluded the 11th, 12th, and the now 13th Parliament.
The two-thirds gender rule is one of the affirmative actions enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and under Article 27(8).
In one of the submission of the agenda, Elisha Unyoya, advocate of the High Court, pointed out that despite the government's effort to comply with the two-thirds gender rule, in the court's view, Parliament's effort had been half-hearted.
Essentially, the court is telling us that we are aware that Parliament has made some effort, but in the court's view, and see, the court's view is authoritative. When the court speaks the law. In the court's view, Parliament's efforts had been half-hearted.
Betty Sungura, Chief Executive Officer of the National Gender and Equality Commission, noted that despite the Constitution of Kenya providing for the realization of gender equality, including the principle of affirmative action to ensure the representation of marginalized groups in leadership positions, women continue to be underrepresented in political leadership positions. Other delegates that were present in the forum include Bitis Elachi, Member of Parliament for Dagoretti North Constituency, Honorable George Muragara, Chair of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, Gloria Uroba, nominated Senator representing women in the Senate, among others.
As you're aware, women have been generally underrepresented in the political facets in Kenya, as men have held majority of the seats in Parliament.
Article 27, we can use Article 100 to achieve this two-thirds. So it means it is our selfishness, our own selfishness, that has made us come this far.
Kenya's 2010 constitution established a groundbreaking gender quota requiring not more than two-thirds of the elective public bodies shall be of the same gender. 13 years later, after numerous attempts, the government still has not adopted the legislation to fully implement this constitutional requirement.
And in June 2017, the petitioners wrote to the then Chief Justice, the Honorable Justice David Maraga, and requested that he dissolves the 12th Parliament in compliance with the High Court's orders, which was proper, it was lawful, it was within the rights.
On the 21st of September 2020, the then Chief Justice David Maraga advised President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament over its failure to enact a law on gender balance. The move that could have rendered 418 lawmakers, including 349 at the National Assembly and 67 in the Senate, jobless. Before then, in March 2017, Justice John Mativo advised that if the gender rule would not be implemented by the end of the year 2017, then anyone was at liberty to write to the President of the Supreme Court, who will in turn shall advise the President to dissolve Parliament. 3 years later, and placing reliance on Article 261(7) of the Constitution, Chief Justice moved it swiftly and proceeded to offer an advisory opinion to the President to dissolve Parliament. Over 9 attempts have been made to amend the Constitution to enforce two-thirds gender representation in Parliament. National Gender Equality Commission Chairperson Dr. Joyce Mutinda says that the Commission has been following closely the journey of two-thirds.
At that point, what we needed was political will and commitment, because the two go together. Now, we got political will, we didn't get commitment. This time round, I'm appealing to you, honorable members, to make the commitment, because the political will is there for all Kenyans to see. You have seen what His Excellency the President has done.
It will be a matter of wait and see if the 13th Parliament, which boasts of a majority of Kenya Kwanza government legislatures under the leadership of President William Ruto, will break the jinx and pass the law and see its implementation, or it will be another failed attempt hitherto. Bitis Njeri, GBS News.
The Senate conducted a sitting on Tuesday, the 28th of February, under Order Number 10, motion of the adoption of the Standing Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Rights on the purposed appointment of Honorable Johnston Muthama as a commission to the Parliamentary Service Commission. This comes after Cecil Mbaire was selected as the new chairperson of the Democratic Alliance. In a leadership change made during the party's National Executive Council meeting, chaired by President William Ruto, Mbaire was appointed to replace Johnston Muthama. Let's take a look.
The Senate conducted a sitting on Tuesday, the 28th of February, under Order Number 10, motion of the adoption of the Standing Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Rights as the proposed appointment of the Honorable Johnston Muthama as a commission to the Parliamentary Service Commission. Senate leaders showed their support to the Honorable Leader as a committee to the Public Service Commission, noting that he will contribute greatly by bringing in good experience and a much-needed familiarity with the systems that are in place with the Senate. Furthermore, the leaders noted that Muthama is a reputable leader in the country and the new position is well-suited for him as a leader. Additionally, they emphasized that he is academically qualified and with this position, he will be able to execute his mandate as required.
This new position, I believe Senator Johnston Muthama will be able to execute his duties, his mandate as required. He's also qualified academically and is actually a Kamba leader and a politician, and we know that he's going to be able to perform.
There is no doubt that Senator Muthama will bring in good experience and will bring in much needed familiarity with the systems that are working in this house.
He's a man who has demonstrated patriotism, national unity. He is able to understand the devolution. He is able to understand rule of law and democracy and the need for participation of the people. So, Mr. Speaker, he meets the criteria set under Article 10, national values and principles of good governance. He meets that criterion and he comes through as a personality that is minded of doing general good to the public, Mr. Speaker.
This comes as Cecil Mbaire was selected as the new chairperson of the United Democratic Alliance. In a leadership change made during the party's National Executive Council meeting, chaired by President William Ruto, Mbaire was appointed to replace Johnston Muthama. In the new lineup, Cleopas Malala, who unsuccessfully contested for Kakamega gubernatorial seat, was appointed as the party Secretary General, taking over from Veronica, who was nominated to the Senate.
I have taken up duties as a nominated senator, and I will be pushing more energy in my new role as a nominated senator. Position as a Secretary General will be taken over by Honorable Cleopas Malala.
The new officials will serve on the interim basis ahead of the national election slated for the later this year. Sete Emmanuel, GBS TV News, Nairobi.
The tribunal appointed by President William Ruto to investigate the suspended commissioner of the electoral body, Irene Masit, has recommended her removal for gross misconduct. Ms. Masit was one of the 4 commissioners who rejected last year's presidential election results. McDonald with the full report.
The tribunal, chaired by the Court of Appeal Judge Aggrey Muchevele, said commissioners must cease action on August 15, 2022 to agree to the proposal by 2 delegations to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, to moderate the results of the presidential election in favor of Raila Odinga was gross misconduct. The tribunal said evidence presented before them indicated that the proposal would have forced a presidential rerun and that the 4 commissioners, including Ms. Masit, had been promised a reward. The tribunal noted that the 2 delegations comprising of members of the National Security Advisory Council, led by Kennedy Ogeto, then Solicitor General, Hilary Mutyambai, then Inspector General of Police, Lieutenant General Francis Omondi Ogola, Vice Chief of Defense Forces, and another comprising of elders led by former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuju, visited all the commissioners and asked them to moderate the results or, in alternate, force a runoff. Receiving the report, Ruto said all Kenyans ought to submit to the Constitution and resist any urge to break it. He also lauded the tribunal for successfully completing the process.
Congratulations on discharging this responsibility that was bestowed upon you and your team to discharge a constitutional responsibility. As you have said yourself, this is the very first time we are having proceedings under Section 251 of the Constitution. And it is always an important thing because we have all decided as a country that Kenya is going to be a nation built on the firm foundation of the rule of law, respect for the Constitution, the laws, and all its institutions. And because we have submitted ourselves to the dictates of the Constitution and the laws of Kenya.
The three other commissioners, Cherera, Francis Wanderi, and Justus Nyang'aya, opted to resign than face the tribunal. Reporting for GBS TV, I am Mark Anthony.
This live broadcasting, of course, do keep the conversation going through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa in all our social media handles. Let's take our first commercial break. We will be right back.
Welcome to Mahanaim International High School. Are you worried about the character of your child? Mahanaim is the best Christian and character building school and offer British National Curriculum, IGCSE O-Level and GCE A-Level, and mixed day and boarding school. For more inquiry, call 0710 111 333.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News at 9. And now moving forward with the bulletin tonight, Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Forestry Saipan Tuya and U.S. Ambassador to Kenya Meg Whitman presided over banning of 13.5 tons of sandalwood at DCI headquarters on Tuesday, following a distraction order issued by the Chief Magistrate sitting at Kahawa Law Courts on February 8, 2023, recovered over a period of time by detectives in different operations. Let's take a look. 3 people died while 6 others sustained serious injuries when a matatu vehicle carrying passengers was involved in an accident at Enaibelbel along Narok Nakuru Road. Here are the details.
Confirming the incident, Narok Central Police Commandant John Momanyi said that the accident occurred when a matatu traveling from Narok lost control after the 2 back tires burst.
Cause of the accident, as per the preliminary investigation, is that the vehicle had tire bursts, 2 rear tire bursts of the vehicle. That is what caused the accident, and as a result, the vehicle rolled several times. Now, it's very unfortunate, and we pass our message of condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones.
The police commandant said that the injured persons were rushed to Narok Referral Hospital for treatment, naming that the driver and 2 passengers died on the spot. He cautioned the drivers to be vigilant on the roads, equally to vehicle owners to service their vehicles. Momanyi further added that the traffic will be removing vehicles that are not serviced, and says that action will be taken to those drivers that do not follow the traffic rules.
And I want to take this opportunity to caution our drivers that they must ensure that they observe safety rules. Equally to the owners of the vehicles, they must ensure that their vehicles are properly serviced, so that we can avoid some of these unfortunate incidences. Otherwise, as the police will take our required responsibility of ensuring that all those unroadworthy vehicles are removed from the road.
The bodies of the deceased were moved to Narok County Referral Hospital mortuary as the vehicle wreckage was towed to Narok Town Police Station. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Barbara Gamba.
It is very sad indeed, and of course we do send our condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones from here, of course, and of course do take care, and we do hope the law does take its course on that as well. And now moving forward, on other stories making headlines, manufacturers have called on the government to revive and industrialize Kenya's agriculture sector. This was during the launch of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers Manufacturing Priority Agenda 2023. Speaking during the launch, Principal Secretary and State Department for Investment Promotion, Mr. Abubakar Hassan Abubakar noted that the government has prioritized various value chains geared towards driving industrial growth. KAM Chairman Rajan Shah observed that whereas there are endless opportunities for value addition in the agriculture sector, they are largely untapped, thus calling for the creation of an enabling environment by government for these to be realized. The MPA is an annual publication that guides KAM's advocacy efforts with the government and its agencies. This year's MPA themed Resetting Manufacturing to Achieve Agenda by 2030 shall be guided by 4 pillars.
Is important. 550 million. You know, in a class of, or what President Museveni says, 3 dwarfs of East Africa discussing who is dwarf is taller than the other. We are actually doing nothing, no justice to that market. We have duty-free access, quota-free access to that market. What are we doing on it? We're only expecting 60 billion. We can do 2 billion. So these are the value chains that you've taken a lot of time to look at that in what you're calling sectoral deep dives. And we are also getting into a much detailed conversation with the government, and that's why the PS, this conversation is important.
Be ready to continue fighting the protectionism and making sure that the Kenyan products are there in the market. And I can see here also that we are in the front line in enhancing domestic market access. We are here enhancing domestic market access and how we came up with the National Trade Policy, which has been translated into trade bill, which is already in Parliament. We are hoping that the trade bill will go through to give us a teeth to move forward and deal with some issues that are affecting our domestic market. We know that in our domestic market, we have all manner of products coming in, genuinely and ungenuinely, so we have to be vigilant in how to deal with the products that are coming in our domestic market. As concerned international market, we are aggressively working towards achieving the market access.
A section of leaders from Kilifi County have called on the national government not to privatize public universities in the country, as it will affect the higher education learning in the coastal region. They said once universities are privatized, those that would be affected are those from the coast, and it will be a big blow to the region. Led by Fikirini Jacob, a long-term University Union student leader, the leader said the government should ensure there is equal allocation of funds to all the universities so as to attract more students. Here are the details.
Kama wakali tunaumia. Na maana tuna support mheshimiwa party leader wetu the right honorable Raila Amolo Odinga kusema kwamba bei ya bidhaa imepanda juu zaidi. Si ni kweli?
Wakali artisans in Siaya have decried the high cost of materials that is impacting on the price of their products and are calling on the government to address the issue through the Siaya County Juakali Umbrella Association. The artisans say the high cost of production has forced them to adjust the price of their products, but members of the public, who are also equally pressed with the high cost of living, were no longer buying them.
Sisi kama wanajuakali kuna shida kabisa, hata bei ya chuma, bei ya kila kitu imepanda juu. Wanajuakali biashara ndogo ndogo tunaumia kabisa. Kwa hivyo tunaunga mkono kwa dhati mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga aweze kusukuma hii serikali maisha iweze kushuka chini. Si ni kweli? Maisha yamepanda kabisa, wanajuakali wanaumia.
According to the Micro, Small and Medium Establishment Survey Report 2016, these enterprises contributed 28% of the national output of 9.9 trillion Kenya shillings and play a critical role in the economic growth and poverty alleviation.
Pana wetu James Agri Babo Rengo, tuko nyuma yako. Unafanya kazi ya Juakali, tunaomba kwamba uendelee kufanya kazi za sisi vizuri namna hiyo, na sisi pia kuanzia Rarieda hadi Bondo, Game hadi Alego Usonga, Ugenya hadi Ugunja. Ikifika mwaka ujao tutakuangalia vizuri na uko na support ya wanajuakali kabisa, tutakupatia kura wakati huo ukifika. Sawa sawa.
In the meantime, a section of leaders from Kilifi County has called on the national government not to privatize public universities in the country, as it will affect the higher education learning in the coastal region.
Hii notion ya kuambiwa watu wa pwani hawasomi sijui nini, we must kill that notion. Ulizi wanafunzi wa Kilifi wangapi wako ndani ya Pwani University? Wetu wanaenda wapi? Chuo chetu gapi? Na haja ya kulipa hostel, kuna haja ya tikiti 2,300 kufika pwani kwa geti pale Kibaoni, wengine upate degree sawa sawa na yule wa Nairobi. Lakini wetu wako wapi? Walimu watoto wetu wanaishia wapi? Mzazi mmoja ananiambia beach huko. Wamekosa support. Wanapata ile grade ya kwenda university, wanakosa support. Kweli au uongo?
They said once universities are privatized, those that will be affected are those from coast, and it will be a big blow to the region. Led by Fikirini Jacobs, a long-term University Union student leader, the leaders say the government should ensure there is equal allocation of funds to all universities so as to attract more students.
Maswala ya vyuo vikuu, kwa sababu nimekuwa kiongozi wa wanafunzi wa vyuo vikuu muda mrefu, niko na mambo mawili kidogo najua, lakini naomba wabunge wetu kwa heshima, siku za hizi karibuni tumesikia kwamba kuna nia ya serikali ya kuprivatize baadhi ya universities zetu, na nikiangalia hapa pwani kuna hatari kidogo, kwa sababu ukiangalia kwa mfano the previous placement ya Taita Taveta University ambayo ni full-fledged university, ni university ya kitaifa, it's a public university, iliweza kupewa wanafunzi 300 peke yake na serikali. Lakini ukiangalia baadhi ya private universities nje ya mkoa huu zimepewa zaidi ya wanafunzi 5,000. Pesa ya serikali inayoinua vyuo inafuata ile idadi ya wanafunzi. Wanafunzi wakiwa kidogo inamaanisha pesa itaenda kidogo, kwa hivyo maendeleo yatakuwa polepole. Huenda shoka hili la privatization likianza likaangukia baadhi ya hivi vyuo ambavyo vimepata wanafunzi kidogo kutoka kwa serikali. Mimi naomba serikali ya kitaifa, pwani ya leo si kama ile ya jana. Pia sisi tumejitokeza kimasomaso kung'ang'ana masuala ya elimu.
Reporting for GBS TV,
Thank you, Barbara Gamba, for that detailed report. And that ushers us to our international news. But first, let us take a quick commercial break.
Welcome to Mahanaim International High School. Are you worried about the character of your child? Mahanaim is the best Christian and character building school and offer British National Curriculum, IGCSE O-Level and GCE A-Level, and mixed day and boarding school. For more inquiry, call 0710 111 333.
Na kukaribisha tena katika makao makuu yako katika ulimwengu wa michezo.
Yoga is not a sport. Yoga is actually a way of life.
Ukiona FIFA inaingilia kati, it means that the FIFA rules have been violated.
From day one akiingia kwa akademi yako, unamwambia masomo na talent lazima ziende. The moment nasikia masomo imeenda chini, hata time out. Hata hiyo time out kwa football na kando.
Wanawake ni wengi actually mpaka saa hizi. Tumekaa ni kama tumekuwa wanawake wamekuwa wengi kuliko wanaume. Kuna wale ambao ni artistic. Yes, wanapenda mambo ya kuigiza.
I am coded to look for solutions.
You limit yourself, not the sport doesn't limit you.
We say a dedicated women-only show that focuses only on women.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, and now moving to international news. Presidential polls in the African nation of Nigeria are almost over. Officials are now in the process of counting votes. Nearly 90 million people were eligible to cast their votes for appointing the successor of President Muhammadu Buhari. The poll commissioned by ANF Foundation was conducted this month and suggests a three-horse presidential race between Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress, and Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party. Rabiu Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party came forth in the poll and was described as a dark horse. Lino with the full report.
Results showed a significant lead for Mr. Peter Obi, with 21% of voters proposing to vote for him. If the presidential election final announcement were to be conducted so far, 13% each proposing to vote for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who are both tied in second place. Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso was a distant fourth with 3% of voters proposing to vote for him. A statement by ANAP Foundation announcing the result of the poll shows that the Labour Party candidate led the pack in virtually all the age categories. Undecided voters and those who prefer not to reveal their preferred candidate add up to a whopping 32% and 15% respectively. The gender split of undecided voters shows that 39% of women are undecided versus 27% of male voters. While the results showed some significant trend, the poll said it is key to note that the battle ahead lies in the hand of swing voters, as it appears they will ultimately decide which candidate takes the lead to emerge as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the year 2023 presidential election. Moreover, ANAP Foundation has concluded that the trends are clear enough to establish the front runners, and so their subsequent poll will concentrate on the four leading candidates only. Lino Lunjok, GBS News.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Kenya, the first stop on a three-day Nation-Africa tour. To join Kenya's foreign ministry in calling for a ceasefire in Ethiopia, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will also travel to Nigeria and Senegal. Let's take a look.
Blinken has met with former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta on his visit to the country to discuss topics including cooperation on ending the COVID-19 pandemic and regional security issues such as Ethiopia, Somalia, and Sudan. The civil war in Ethiopia and a military takeover in Sudan loom large as Secretary of State Antony Blinken began his first trip to Africa as American top diplomat. He joined Kenyan Foreign Minister in Nairobi in calling for a ceasefire in Ethiopia before that conflict spilled over into the region.
We had the wonderful opportunity to do a virtual visit that you hosted a few months ago, but there's nothing like the real thing, so I'm really grateful to have you here. We have a very important strategic partnership with Kenya. We are working together across the continent and beyond, indeed, when you were on the UN Security Council, working on global issues, working on regional issues. We have a lot to talk about. And of course, we're very pleased to have been able to help with COVID and vaccines. There are 1.7 million vaccines that are en route soon to Kenya. But especially, we're grateful for the strategic partnership that we have. Much work to be done on the continent, on beyond, and I'm looking forward to getting down to work with you.
Secretary Blinken called it an absolute necessity to stop the fighting in Ethiopia and get humanitarian aid following to part of the country now facing the famine. He further addressed that they are gravely concerned about the escalating violence, the expansion of fighting throughout the country, and what we see as growing risk of the unity and to the integrity of the Ethiopian state.
I very much appreciate President Kenyatta's engagement on this, including at the United Nations and in person in Ethiopia, to press the parties to end hostilities immediately and without preconditions, to stop human rights abuses and violations, to provide humanitarian access for the millions in northern Ethiopia who are in dire need of life-saving.
The U.S. is urging Americans to leave Ethiopia and warning of mounting atrocities by the Ethiopian government and rebel in Tigray. On the other hand, Rachel Omamo said that friends and neighbors believe in the potential of their neighbor. She believed in the potential of Ethiopia to find a resolution to these crises. She believed that a ceasefire is possible.
Believe in the potential of Ethiopia to find a resolution to this crisis. We believe that a ceasefire is possible.
Blinken will travel next to Abuja to meet with Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari to discuss cooperation on global health security, expanding energy access, and revitalizing democracy. Lino Lunjok, GBS News.
Thank you, Lino, for that detailed report, and that ushers us to our sports news. Yes, for the lovers of sport, we have come to your favorite part of the news. It's time for the sports news. Kondanze High Volleyball set to represent Kenya in the African School Championship held in Casablanca, Morocco, as the new coach Justin Kigwari states that they flew to compete, not just to participate. And on the other hand, world 100-meter record holder Ferdinand Omanyala unleashed a 9.86 seconds world lead at the second athletics track and field competition held in Nairobi. McDonald with the full report.
Commonwealth Games World 100-meter champion Ferdinand Omanyala unleashed a 9.86 seconds one lead after an epic run at the second athletics track and field competition in Nairobi. It was his first outdoor competition this year after earlier breaking his own record in the indoors competition in Landville, France 2 weeks ago.
Again, straight out, Cisse got the best start now, looking to get into his running is Jacobs in the second half, and also here comes Omanyala! Omanyala takes the scalp of the world indoor champion, 6:54 for Ferdinand Omanyala.
Oh, he slips in fact.
The weekend meeting that ended on Saturday doubled trials for under 18 and 20s in East African Championship that will be held in Tanzania next month. FKF today unveiled a 3-year partnership deal with gaming firm Mozartbet, worth 60 million that will cater for FKF Cup. FKF Cup begins this weekend, and the gaming firm has stepped in to support local football. Speaking to Read the Farm, Mozart country manager Sasa Kreneta expressed his gratitude in partnering with FKF, with which they have total commitment to support local football.
We are happy to partner with FKF and Kenya Football through this cup competition, the oldest and most prestigious in Kenya. The Mozartbet FKF Cup was first played in 1956, and since then it has been a cup coveted by almost every football team in the country, as the winner gets to represent Kenya in the CAN Confederation Cup. The Mozartbet FKF Cup, as you all know, is a blend of amateur, grassroots and elite clubs, which makes it unique. We believe strongly that Kenyan football has great potential and immense value for commercial, corporate partners like Mozartbet. Not only that, we also believe that for Kenya football to be a success, we all have to play our roles. Funds, government, FKF, and commercial partners like us.
On the other hand, FKF Cup CEO Barry Otieno was grateful to what Mozart had done to football, especially this time when football was without commercial partners.
I think first is to say thank you so much, Sasha. Thank you so much, Mozart, for believing in us in what has been a very difficult period for football. In November of last year, we had a partnership with you, and because of what transpired and what we do not want to talk about is that we were not able to watch Harambee Stars versus Rwanda match because the then cabinet secretary had suspended FKF.
Under the deal, FKF Cup champions will be awarded 2 million, while the second place will be awarded 1 million, the third place will be awarded 750,000, and the fourth place will receive 500,000. The FKF Cup will promote football in the country and give young players opportunities to showcase their skills, and the sponsorship will build a better future for the sport in the country. Kwandanze I volleyball team will represent Kenya in the African School Championship held in Casablanca, Morocco today. The team and high intensity in training in Kasarani Indoors Arena over the past 1 week, and coach Justin Kigwari is hopeful they will be a threat to any opponent they face. Malkia Strikers coach Paul Bitok and KCB coach Jafeth Munala took part in imparting skills to the team, boosting their morale heading into the tournament. The two coaches have experience both locally and internationally, and their presence in the training psyched the team and boosted their morale. The East African champions alongside Cheptil Boys left the country on the weekend, and they are hoping to use the tournament as a platform to showcase their talent to the world. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm McDonald.
Thank you, McDonald, for that report. And that, of course, brings us to a conclusion of our news segment tonight. And even as we usher a new month and say goodbye to this February, I wish you a happy new month in advance. And of course, do remember here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njori. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.